everyone, and welcome to Joyride with the Rainbow Goddess. I'm Itzel, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite books, which has been life-changing for me. It's called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and it's a spiritual guide to enlightenment. And I'm just going to read a passage from it today. It's about freeing yourself from your mind. What exactly do you mean by watching the thinker? When someone goes to the doctor and says, "I hear a voice in my head," he or she will most likely be sent to a psychiatrist. The fact is that, in a very similar way, virtually everyone hears a voice or several voices in their head all the time. The involuntary thought process that you don't realize you have the power to stop. Continuous monologues and dialogues. You have probably come across mad people on the street incessantly talking or murdering to themselves. Well, that's not much different from what you and all the other normal people do, except that you don't do it out loud. The voice comments, speculates, judges, compares, complains, it likes, it dislikes, and so on. The voice isn't necessarily relevant to the situation you find yourself in at that time. It may be reviving recent or distant past, or rehearsing or imagining possible future situations. Here, it often imagines things going wrong and negative outcomes. This is called worry. Sometimes this soundtrack is accompanied by visual images or mental movies. Even if the voice is relevant to the situation at hand, it will interpret it in terms of the past. This is because the voice belongs to your conditioned mind, which is the result of all your past history as well as of the collective cultural mindset you inherited. So you see and judge the present through the eyes of the past and get a totally distorted view of it. It is not uncommon for the voice to be a person's own worst enemy. Many people live with a tormentor in their head that continuously attacks and punishes them and drains them of all vital energy. It is the cause of untold misery and unhappiness, as well as of disease. And the reason why, as well as of disease, and this is my own commentary, is because the mind and the body are obviously connected. So if you have dis-ease, as in uneasiness in the mind, then the disease also will be in the body. The good news is that you can free yourself from your mind. This is the only true liberation. You can take the first step right now. Start listening to the voice in your head as often as you can. Pay particular attention to any repetitive thought patterns. Those old gramophone records that have been playing in your head, perhaps for many years. This is what I mean by watching the thinker, which is another way of saying listen to the voice in your head. Be there as the witnessing presence. And by listening to the voice in your head, you're listening to it as if somebody else is talking, because that voice is not you. It is not who you are. It is just like something that's happening mechanically without your choice. When you listen to that voice, listen to it impartially. That is to say, do not judge. Do not judge or condemn what you hear, for doing so would mean that the same voice has come in again through the back door. You'll soon realize there is the voice, and here I am listening to it, watching it. This I am realization, this sense of your own presence, is not a thought. It arises from beyond the mind. Because you just are. Period. You are not the voice, the thoughts, the actions. You simply are. Which is quite liberating, because we're always, I'm great or I'm terrible. You're always in the judgment of how you are. But you are not the how you are. You just are. So when you listen to a thought, you are aware not only of the thought, but also of yourself as the witness of the thought. A new dimension of consciousness has come in. As you listen to the thought, you feel a conscious presence, your deeper self, behind or underneath the thought, as it were. The thought then loses its power over you and quickly subsides, because you are no longer energizing the mind through identification with it. This is the beginning of the end of involuntary and compulsive thinking. Because what usually happens is we have a thought and then we get hooked. We follow that thought wherever it wants to take us, in the, oh, this is good, this is bad, I should be thinking this, oh no, it's gonna go this way. So instead it's like the thought comes, we observe it, and then it passes because we're not identifying it, we're not getting hooked, we're not following it. It just comes in and it comes out. Like I like to say or hear during Shavasana in yoga, it's like a cloud, you know, the cloud comes over the sun and eventually it just passes. When a thought subsides, you experience a discontinuity in the mental stream, a gap of no mind. At first, the gaps will be short, a few seconds perhaps, but gradually they will become longer. When these gaps occur, you feel a certain stillness and peace inside you. This is the beginning of your natural state of felt oneness with being, which is usually obscured by the mind. With practice, the sense of stillness and peace will deepen. In fact, there is no end to its depth. You will also feel a subtle emanation of joy arising from deep within, the joy of being. It is not a trance-like state, not at all. There is no loss of consciousness here. The opposite is the case. If the price of peace were a lowering of your consciousness, the price of stillness a lack of vitality and alertness, then they would not be worth having. In this state of interconnectedness, you are much more alert, more awake than in the mind-identified state. You are fully present. So this is what we mean by being present, by being in the now. It also arises the vibrational frequency of the energy field that gives life to the physical body. As you go more deeply into this realm of no mind, as it is sometimes called in the East, you realize the state of pure consciousness. In that state, you feel your own presence with such intensity and such joy that all thinking, all emotions, your physical body, as well as the whole external world, become relatively insignificant in comparison to it. And yet, this is not a selfish, but a selfless state. It takes you beyond what you previously thought of as yourself. That presence is essentially you, and at the same time, inconceivably greater than you. What I am trying to convey here, it may sound paradoxical or even contradictory, but there is no other way that I can express it. Okay, let's take a deep breath to take that in. I'm going to do one more. Thank you for listening. My sister and I actually have a podcast called Conversations with My Sister, which we talk a lot about the power of now in it, and we talk about a lot of other things that relate to mental and physical health. And you can find Conversations with My Sister on Spotify, or you can also find it on a free app called Anchor, and I will put the link to both of those in my description below. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, you can also do that with a link in my description below, or I'm sure you can easily find the way to do so. I put up a video every single Monday, and I'm so happy to have you here, and I will look forward to seeing you next Monday. Thank you so much. I love you. Have a healthy, happy life. Yeah!